Guess what? I had already recorded half of this video, and then I accidentally hit stop recording, and then I accidentally deleted what I had gotten already. So it was supposed to be me baking and telling the stories, plural, but now it's just gonna be like half baking telling the stories, and the other half is just gonna be telling stories because I ran out of baking things to bake. I was just gonna be waiting for the pie to bake. But I'm baking a pie, and I'm telling stories because fun fact, I disappeared for a whole month. I don't know, maybe you noticed. I don't really care. The first week it was just because I was really sad and I didn't want to do anything. The second week, the last 3 weeks were because I was at summer camp, and it's like the summer camp that I go to. It's literally my favorite place in the entire world, right? Like, it's called Camp Eagle Ridge. It's so great. It's a leadership camp, and it's one of the reasons that I am not a shitty person. Fun fact, because I used to be a really awful, angry, mean. I used to be a bully, basically. Now I get bullied. that was an interesting joke that I just made there, but yeah. So that camp is like the reason that I don't suck. And it's literally my favorite place in the whole world. It's like, it's such a home. Like, it feels like a home, you know? But, yeah. So, and I have stories. And one of the things is that I got really good at archery. I used to not do archery at all. I used to be, like, awful at it. But now I'm good at it because my favorite counselor, he did archery all the time. So I signed up for it a lot. And I got really good at it. And I also found out that I'm really good at gymnastics, which is surprising because I'm uncoordinated, okay? I'm unbalanced. I run into things constantly, like I'm very clumsy, and I'm not flexible. But it turns out that I'm pretty good at like basic gymnastics, which surprised me. But I'm not complaining. Like, I think that that's pretty cool. Oh, hit something that scared the fucking shit out of me. Okay. But yeah, so I found out that I'm really good at gymnastics. And speaking of gymnastics, okay, so when I signed up for it one time with like this counselor that I really like, his name's Ollie, he's great. There was this one kid there who was like a known menace, and he's 12. And this is a 12-year-old kid that I'm about to tell you about, okay? So I signed up for gymnastics, and like this choker that I'm wearing, right? It has like little like spiky things on it. I don't know how well you can like tell it, but it's spiky. And it was like stabbing me in the chin like that, and it was just like not the most comfortable. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this choker off. So I take it off, and I get back in like the area, and this kid, he looks me dead in the eyes. This 12-year-old kid looks me dead in the eyes, and he goes, I've always wondered if you were hiding your scars under there. I'm like, is this real life? Like, did this kid just dead ass straight face say this to me? And I was like, dude, that's not funny. And he was like, okay, and then he turned around and failed at doing a cartwheel. Yeah, everybody who I talked to at camp had a story with that kid. Like, one of my friends, she told me that this kid told him that he had 8.5 girlfriends. And this kid also told me that he's done heroin. And he's a 12-year-old kid, so I'm like, okay, you're lying about the girlfriends and the drugs. But yeah, no, he was a person. That's what I'll say about that. Okay. And yeah. But no, a lot of people talked about it, and there was a lot of drama with that kid, which I'm happy that I stayed out of. I try to stay out of drama because I don't like it, but I always end up in it, especially this year. I'll get to that later. But before I tell you about the drama, let me tell you about the best 26 hours of my entire life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating there. This was the best experience that I've ever had. Hold on. But it's, so basically, the camp that I go to, they do something called the senior retreat. And they take all of the 15-year-old kids, because 15 is like a significant year at the camp, because it's not the last year that you can go, but once you turn 16, you could be you could be a counselor in training or a CIT if they ask you to and if you want to, which I really want to, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna ask me because even the camp director told me that she thinks I'd be a good CIT. So I've got high hopes there. But yeah. So that's 15's like a significant year. And so they take all the 15-year-old kids on this special trip, and you're not allowed to tell anyone who hasn't been on it yet what happened. Like, it's an entire secret, so I had no idea what to expect other than that I was really excited. And so one day they got all the 15-year-old kids, and they were like, all right, go. They gave us like a packing list, and they're like, you have an hour to pack all this stuff up and meet us at this spot in the camp. And we were like, okay. So we go and we pack and we meet them at the spot, and they got us in like a big van. Side note, it literally looked like a stereotypical kidnapping van. Like, it was a white van with black tinted windows. Like, and then they had 16 of us in there. So I can't imagine what the other people driving around near us thought, but that. But then they drove us to like a national park, and they had us all get out of the car, and they had us all put on blindfolds, and they told us, okay, put your blindfold on, get in a line, grab each other's hands, we're gonna lead you on a little walk. And we were all like, okay. We were all like, what the fuck is happening? But we were all like, okay. And so we grab hands, we start walking, and then eventually because the people who took us, I should specify, the people who took us were the two assistant directors, Nick and Kenzie. Yeah, and they led us down this like trail in the park, and it was like in the forest, and then at one point they were like, okay, everyone stop walking, and we were all like, okay, and then we, hold on, I'm like getting like disoriented. Okay, then we oh, sorry, brain moment, hold on. Then they were like, okay, we want everyone to stand here and start counting out loud, like all together, until somebody says stop. And they told us to keep the blindfolds on too, and we were all like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is this? But we were all like, okay, and so we started counting. Guess what we counted to? 1750. 1750. We counted for half an hour. We were standing out there counting out loud in like a public forest for half an hour. So yeah, I can only imagine what anyone who saw us thought. They probably thought we were in a cult. We felt like we were in a cult. Like, we really didn't know what was going on. But like, after we got to like 1750, someone was like, guys, this is so stupid. We're gonna stop and we're gonna take our blindfolds off. And we were all like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm sick of this. Let's do it. So we took the blindfolds off. We're still on the trail. And but one of the assistant directors, Kenzie, she's lying on the ground wearing like a plain white t-shirt that says in Sharpie on it, dead weight, please take with. And there was a wheelchair, a water cooler, and a backpack that had like band-aids and stuff in it. And we were all like, dude, what the fuck is happening? We were all like, we didn't actually swear, because like, you're not supposed to swear at camp, because it's like ages 7 to 17, and we were all like conditioned into not swearing, and the assistant director was right there, so we didn't actually swear, but we were all like, dude, what the fuck is happening? And we're like, I think we have to like go down the trail with her, and they were like, okay, but like, she couldn't move, like, she was dead weight, right? So we all had to like put her in the wheelchair. There were 16 of us, so obviously not all of us were like moving her, but we put her in the wheelchair, and there were like 5 people like making sure she didn't fall out of the wheelchair. And there was one person like dragging the water cooler, and one of my friends had the medical backpack. And then they left us little notes all around. One of the notes had chocolate bars with it, and then we ate the chocolate bars. That was nice. It was just like plain Hershey's bars, but it's the thought that counts. And then eventually, when we got to the end of the trail, we found the other assistant director, Nick. We were at like a campsite. He was like, and we were all like, "Oh my god, we did it! We did it! We're here! Woo!" Like we were so happy to not be walking through the forest with Kenzie in a wheelchair anymore. Like we were really happy about that. And then we got to have lunch, and that was great. And then after that, the two assistant directors there, they were like, guys, yeah, this is like a fun little trip, but it's also supposed to be very special and like meaningful, and so we're gonna have these special little talks throughout the whole night. And we were all like, ooh, okay. Or not the whole night, the whole like time. And so we had the first one first, obviously, and it was right after lunch, and they were like, okay, it was about receiving compliments, which I suck at, by the way. But like I blush really easily, especially when I get compliments. But you know, so we had to take compliments, and so basically how they did it was we drew a name out of a hat of like someone in the group. And so for the first one, we drew a name, and we had to compliment them on the person that we got on something that they did well when we were like walking through the forest trying to find the campsite. And then we put all the names back and we drew names again, and then we had to give the person a compliment about their appearance, like a physical compliment. And someone said that they liked my style, and that made me really happy because I like my style. And then we put all the names back, and then we drew a new name, and we had to give them a compliment about their personality, and that was it. It was like pretty basic, and then after that, we got to go swimming. And I love swimming. I can't swim. I suck at it. Like, I know how to not drown. There's something in my pocket. But I can't, like, swim. Right? So, Can-tab. For fuck's sake. But yeah. And so, we got to go swimming, and that was really fun. And then after we got back from swimming, we got to shower, because there were showers at the campsite. And, okay, the showers at the actual, like, camp itself, like the actual summer camp, they're mediocre at best. The showers at this campground, that was the best shower I had the entire time I was at camp. It changed something in me. But yeah, that was great. And so then, after that, after we came back from swimming, we ate dinner, and then after dinner we had dessert. And this dessert, okay, there was something. So, Kenzie made us the dessert, and this dessert changed my life, okay? And I'm gonna tell you how to make it, because I only gatekeep things from people I don't like. But basically, you take a tortilla, okay? Stay with me. You take a tortilla, you put peanut butter on half of it. Put peanut butter on half of it. And then you put chocolate chips on it. You take a marshmallow, you rip the marshmallow up into little pieces, and you put that on it. You fold it in half, and then you cook it over the campfire. When I tell you, I took the first bite of this, and everything aligned. The galaxy aligned. Like, my life completely changed from that dessert. Like, it sounds weird, I know. It sounds, like, disgusting, but it's so good. It's so good. I'm telling you, make it. You don't even have to make fire to do it. Like, just please, make it. I'm begging you. It was so good. It literally changed my life. I've never been the same in the best way possible. Just like how I felt after the next part of the night, which was the second one of these, like, special talks, where we all went around in a circle, and they asked us 3 questions that I don't remember what they were, so I'm going to look on the Google Doc that I wrote this all down on, so that I can, Okay, so the questions were, what's one thing that you love about yourself? What is one challenge that you're facing right now? And I didn't write down the third one like a fucking idiot, but you get the idea. Like, that's the kind of questions. And we didn't have to answer, but it was like highly encouraged that we did answer. And I answered all three of them, and it was really nice. And then both the assistant directors thanked everyone for sharing. And then they were like, we're gonna go to bed now, and if you want, you guys can come and give us a hug if you want. And I love hugs. Okay, so I was like, hell yeah. So I walk up there, and I go to hug Kenzie. And that was the second best hug that I've ever had in my entire life. And, like, she hugged me, and she told me that she loved me, and I just thought it was really sweet. And, like, I had already been, like, tearing up from, like, the questions thing, and then I started tearing up even more when she said that to me. And then I went to go hug Nick, okay? And this was the best hug that I've ever had in my entire life. Like, it was just, like, a really nice, warm, comforting hug, and he said, Storm, I'm gonna say something that you can't tell anyone I said, and I was like, okay, and he was like, you're a badass human being, but, like, he said it so genuinely. Like, I can't replicate the way he said it, but it was, like, the most genuine compliment that I've ever gotten, and then I actually started crying, like, happy crying, and I've never happy cried before, ever, but I did that night, and yeah, and then we went to sleep, and then we woke up the next morning, and, oh, ew, that's gross. And we woke up the next morning, and we had breakfast, and then after breakfast, we had, like, the last, like, special thing about tonight, which was they had us all go on this trail in the forest. I have to melt this. I should have done that sooner. I'm gonna sneeze. And they had us go on this trail, and there was like an envelope with our name on it stuck to a tree, like all 16 of us, but there was like one envelope for all of us, and inside of the envelope was a letter that our parents had written, which was really sweet. I thought that was like, it was a nice little thing, and I still have that letter in a box in my room because I've wanted to save it. And then after that, they had the part of the night that we were all, or not night, it's not night anymore at this point in the story, it is the next morning. They had the part of the thing that we were all waiting for, which was the bracelets, because everyone who goes on the senior retreat gets a special bracelet made out of a piece of rope. By the way, it took them like, because to make the bracelet, they have to like rip all the strings out of the inside of the rope. It took them so long to get the strings out. It was so funny to watch. The whole time they were telling us like, don't take pictures of this. We took pictures of it. And then they melted it closed. Like they measured it around like the thickest part of our hand here, and then they melted it closed. And that's what this bracelet is. And I can take it off, but I don't want to. And then, and they also had these special books that everyone who's gone on the senior retreat since it started has written something in, and we got to write something in the book, and it was really fun. And then we packed up our tents, and we left, and I have never been the same. I'm not a changed man, I'm a changed idiot because of that night, in the best way possible. Like, I genuinely don't think I have ever experienced true happiness like that, ever, until that moment. It was, like, literally the best thing in my entire life. And it was also really funny. Like, everyone there was so... Well, there was, like, one or two guys who went on the senior retreat who were, like, kind of misogynistic. So I don't talk about them when recounting this. But, everyone else was really nice. But yeah, it was a great 26 hours. I got home, and I made a playlist about it when I got home, because of just how just absolutely wonderful it was. But yeah, and then, yeah, that was really great. I had a really, really wonderful time. So now that I've talked about the best thing that's ever happened to me, let me tell you about all the drama that went down, right? Okay. So the first one, it was between me and this girl who was younger than me, right? I don't understand why all 13-year-olds like despise me. I don't understand it. But there was this girl, okay, and because okay, to make this make sense, I have to explain how the timeline of this works. So basically, I was there for 3 weeks, but they have sessions for the camp. So the first 2 weeks was one session. Then after that, a bunch of people left, except for the stayover kids who like stayed over for another session. And then there was 1 week after that I was there for. And you can stay for up to as little as 1 week, but as most as 7 weeks. And so this girl in the first 2 weeks, she had these 2 friends, and like I want you to imagine the most stereotypical popular girlfriend group. That was them, right? And so at one point during the second week I was there, so the end of the 2 week session, one of the younger girls was like, by the way, I heard some people talking about you, but I don't know who they were. And I was like, oh, what were they saying? Because like I'm a nice person, right? Like I don't think there's much about me to talk about. Like I'm not mean. I'm oblivious and I can be seen as rude sometimes, but that's because I'm autistic. But I was like, okay, what were they saying about me? And this girl was like, they were making fun of how you dress. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then I was like, I was upset about it, I'm gonna be honest. 1 second. Okay, and so, but the real thing was that, like, I just really wanted to figure out who was talking about me. And I had theories, right? Like, I had theories about who it was. And one day, one of my friends was like, by the way, I know who was talking about you. It's those 3 girls. I was like, that makes a lot of sense, right? But I didn't confront them about it or anything, because I didn't want to start anything. Like, I just didn't feel like it. I was like, okay, well, you know what? They can be rude if they want to. That's not my problem. But then, after the 2-week session ended, 2 of the 3 girls went home, but the main one, like the main popular girl, she stayed behind. And then, during the 1-week session, she comes up to me and she's like, do you hate me? And I said to her, well, I haven't ever had a conversation with you, so I don't think I can hate you. And so she was like, because like she didn't know that I knew that she was talking about me. So she was like, do you want to be friends? I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, wow. You flipped around real fast there when your friends left. That's interesting. And I was like, you know what? Sure. And then she never talked to me or about me ever again. So there was that. I just thought that was really funny. I can just hold that. Okay. And then the last piece of drama, this was also in the 2-week session. It was between me and this guy. And I'm not going to name drop because I have a slight feeling he might be able to find my YouTube channel. So I don't want to name drop. Well, even if I tell the story, actually, he's going to know who he is. So I'm still not going to name drop because that just seems rude. But between me and this guy, and like since like the first day of camp, we were friends, right? Like we hung out a lot, we talked a lot. He's so nice. Like genuinely one of like the nicest people I've ever met. And I think he's great. I really do. But so every Friday the camp has dances where they have and they have like a playlist for the dance, and it changes like pretty much every dance, but there's always a few songs that are all the same, which are like the the line dances, which is just like everyone in the same campus, everyone in the campus doing the same dance, which I know it sounds lame, but it's so fun. And then they have like higher energy songs that people just like jump around and like scream to, which is always really fun. And then they have they have slow songs where you can like dance with somebody if you want, and anyone can ask anyone. Like I dance with my friends because I'm aromantic. I don't feel romantic attraction. I don't do romance. I hate it. I hate everything to do with it. It's just like, not like in general, but like especially in like relation to me. Like thinking about myself in like any like romantic context makes me want to throw up. So, and like this guy that I'm talking about, he knew that. Like I had told him all week because like he talked about crushes a lot. Like, and I told him like I've never had a crush. And like people telling me they have a crush on me makes me really uncomfortable. So he knew that. And then at the dance, I was like sitting down at one point because I was jumping around a lot. I was really out of breath because binder. And he comes over and he sits next to me. He's like, "There's this person I want to dance with, and I don't know how to ask him." I was like, "Okay, who is it?" Because like he wanted my help, and I was like, "Okay, well, who is it, so I can tell you more about them," and like how to ask them. And he was like, "I don't want to tell you. You're gonna make fun of me." And I was like, "Dude, just tell me. I don't feel like this." And I was like, "Dude, just tell me. I'm not gonna make fun of you." And he was like, "It's you." When I tell you, my organs just, I didn't throw up, but like I got really nauseous. I was like, whoa, and like he could see it on my face. And I kind of, sort of, maybe ran to the bathroom. I totally should have handled that so much better than I did, but I physically ran away. And then when I came back eventually, he was crying, and then I ignored him, and I feel so bad about it. But then eventually we both apologized, we made up, we were friends again, but then he later told me that this other guy I hung out with had a crush on me. Like, he told me that the other guy told him, and I was like, oh, that's weird. I don't like that. And he was like, just don't tell him that I told you that. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I still talk to this guy, because, you know, he was my friend, you know. Oh, 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm back. My stepdad was telling me to shut the fuck up because I'm being too loud. But, where was I? But, yeah, okay, so he told me that this other guy I was talking to, who was like a friend of mine, had a crush on me, didn't like that. He told me not to tell him. I was like, okay, whatever. And I still talk to this guy because he was my friend. And then the original guy who told me that he liked me started talking about how much he hated this other guy I was friends with, which was like weird. I was like, in my head, I knew what he was doing, and I was like, but then later I found out that the other guy never actually had a crush on me. He made it up, basically. But we're still friends because he's, like I said, he is a really nice person. He's just a bit interesting. I don't know how else to say it, but no, it was a really great time. I always have a really good time there. It's such a great place. But yeah, those are my stories from this year, and my half of me baking a pie. There was also like definitely other stuff that happened that I just cannot remember because I lost the fucking notebook that I wrote everything down in. But yeah, those were like the big ones, I guess. Yeah, the big things that happened were I got really good at archery. I found out that I'm really good at gymnastics. I got emotionally attached to a counselor. I had the best 26 hours of my entire life. There was this girl who was shit talking to me and then tried to be my friend, and then there was this guy who asked me out. That's it. Oh, and then there was the guy who made hide your scars under their comment, which was, I mean, it wasn't nice, but like I just thought it was so like funny in a way, like just Yeah, but that's it. Sorry I disappeared for a month. I didn't mean it, but I'm back. And I still can't do guitar because I did get a camera, but I need an SD card and I don't have one of those. But as soon as I get that, I'll start playing guitar again. I'll shut the fuck up and I'll play guitar, okay? Bye.